Hello, I'm Billy Ballenger, and I want to take you on a short journey through my life. Man, I started out as a young kid with a lot of dreams and a lot of passions, a lot of desires, a lot of things I wanted to do like many young children. Lots of dreams in our hearts, daydreams, things that we, saw ourselves doing one day. And sometimes you think about it and then you think, maybe that'll happen for somebody else. It's probably just a dream. But I started out, I remember when I was 7 years old, got all my little friends together in my backyard, all three of them. And I remember saying, hey guys, I was 7 in Taylorsville, Indiana. And I said, hey guys, you see that big pile of wood over there behind my dad's garage? We're going to take that pile of wood and we are going to build a stage. None of us knew how to build anything. And I said, we're going to have a band. You know, and their eyes are getting big. They're looking at me. They're all excited. I'm excited. I'm 7-year-old kid with a dream. And I said, you know, what's going to happen is we're going to have a band. We're going to take that wood. We're going to build a stage. We're going to get up on the stage and sing. And all the little girls are going to come watch us sing. And then we got really excited about that. And then I remember that I didn't follow that path. You know, I was adopted at age 3, thankfully, by my aunt and my uncle. My biological parents really struggled with young teenage parenthood. And so I was adopted by my aunt and my uncle, thank God, and they loved me like their own. I call them mom and dad to this day, though they have both passed away. I just remember that when I was 10 years old, though, they got a divorce, and then step-parents moved into the picture. And in that equation, I'm trying to figure out how to get along with them and how to live life. They're trying to figure out how to get along with me, you know. And so I was also moved around from different school to different school, and I struggled a lot trying to find community, trying to find where I fit in. Now remember, this is a little kid with a big dream, and it just seemed like at every corner, at every turn, my dreams kept being shattered because every new school that I would get to, I'd be popular for a couple of days, and then I don't know, it just seemed like that bullying chased me around, followed me around from school to school to school. The reputation, the being made fun of, constantly ridiculed in schools, knocked down in the hallway, beat up in the locker rooms, or picked on, or chased home from school. And it just really, with a kid that just had high hopes of really making an impact on a lot of people, I didn't have a lot of people that I considered to be my friends, and I really wanted that. And that really, if you don't watch it, sends you on the wrong path. And in my case, it did. By the time I'm 15, 16 years old, I'm on probation and on my way to Juvenile reform school. I spent the next 15 months there and got released when I was 17 years old. But at that time, when I was in that juvenile correctional facility, I had met a young lady, and it was a co-ed facility in Wabash, Indiana, and called Josiah White's New Possibilities. And it's a campus, and it's a faith-based, and they really have a heart toward helping troubled kids. And the court systems would send children like me who were incorrigible, who were runaways, children like this young lady that I met, and she was a runaway, and they would send her there. She spent 14 months there. I spent 15 months there. We meet, we start liking each other, we fall in love with one another, but then we get released, and we go back to our own respective counties where we're from. And nobody would take me to go see her. So I made another decision and a choice on my own. When I was 17 years old, I ran away from home. Now, even though I struggled a little bit as a young man, this young lady that I had met and fallen in love with, she had struggles way beyond anything I'd ever experienced in my life. And so at 16 and 17 years old, as I ran away, I went to and moved in with her, and her mom let me move in. It's because the kind of a lifestyle that this young lady was raised in. She was on drugs at 9 years old. She was on the streets, involved in sex and drugs and violent life, and lived in Muncie, Indiana, lived in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and part of her time in the inner city of Cleveland, Ohio. In such a dangerous place, she lived in a drug house with garbage bags in that house just filled with marijuana, and there was no food in the refrigerator. There was jars of pills. She lived in a drug house. This was her life. But considering where I came from and wanting community, when I moved in with her and her mom let me move in, and we moved in together at, like I said, 17 and 16 years old, it was to me like the greatest thing since sliced bread, because all of a sudden I've got all her friends, I've got her community, I've got people that are accepting me. And her crowd and the people that she ran with accepted me. And then something else happened when I was 17. Something snapped on the inside, and I became very violent, a violent person. I don't know if I started to want to pay back society. I don't know if what it was, but I made a lot of bad decisions. But I just look back on that right now, and I think, and I can notice how God's grace was just woven and threaded through my life story, even though I was making those decisions. So it tells me that somewhere along the line, somebody was praying for me. Somebody was asking God to help this young kid, because he just kept showing up at different times. I remember when I was 10, I heard the gospel of Jesus Christ for the first time. I asked Jesus Christ to come into my heart, and I became a Christian. But I struggled still, like a lot of people, as I said. When I went to the Juvenile Correctional Facility, the Reform School, they shared the gospel with me again. I renewed my faith again. And now here I am, 17 years old, on the streets of Muncie, Indiana, being violent, hurting people, paying back society for the pain that I experienced as a young man, I guess. But part of it was acceptance. Part of it was the love that I felt from that community of, I guess, wild people. And then by the time that I'm 18, and that young lady, her name is Jody. By the time she's 17, I'm 18, we get married and we have a daughter. Her name is Mindy, Arminda Mary Ballenger. We call her Mindy. And she was 9 months old when in 2 p.m, because of all the bad choices and how it went downhill so fast, my house was raided by a SWAT team. The SWAT team came in my house fully dressed in black from head to toe, black ski masks, black 12-gauge pump shotguns. They arrested me that day. They arrested my wife, Jody, that day. They arrested my daughter. And I remember in the silence in the jail there, waiting to go to trial and waiting to find out what was going to happen to me, because I'd been breaking the law. I'd been hurting people. I'd been violent. I've been selling a little bit of drugs, but my house had become the party house, and I had violent people around my little girl. How could this kid who was adopted and rescued as a little kid and had good opportunity and had a good heart, how could I go down such a wrong path so fast? It happens to so many people, and it happened to me. 8 months later, they sentenced me to prison. They sentenced my wife to prison. And of course, I had to give up custody of my daughter. And for a while, she was in foster care, but the court system allowed me to give custody of my baby girl to my mom. I'm so grateful for my adopted mom, Mary, and the way and the work that she did to raise my daughter while I was in prison. But when I went to prison, I rededicated my life to Jesus Christ. Why? Because I was hurting. Why? Because I missed my wife. Why? Because I missed my daughter, and I didn't want to go back to the street. I didn't want to go back to that life. I just wanted my life back. I wanted my freedom back like anybody would. And so I began to dig into the Bible and the scriptures and reading the scriptures all the time. Spent most of my time on my prison bunk just reading and studying, trying to figure out how God would move this mountain of incarceration out of my way and restore my family. And you know what? According to Proverbs chapter 21, verse 1, it says, "The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord, and like the rivers of water, God will turn it the way he wants it to go." And that's exactly what happened. He changed the judge's heart. She let my wife and I out of prison 1 year earlier than we were supposed to be released. And because of that miraculous decision, and because God had done a change in our heart, and we were just focused on rebuilding our family, rebuilding our life, not returning to that old life, it was his grace that was enabling us to do it, but it gave us a new dream, a dream of wholeness, a dream to be free from that destructive life. And because of that, not only did we get out of prison early, we were granted full custody of our baby girl back with no strings attached. She was over 3 years old when I got her back, and I never lost her again. Since that time, I never turned my back on God. Of course, there's been challenges in all of our lives at times, but our marriage has continued to grow and flourish. Our children continue to grow up, and we just stayed focused on Jesus and what he had for our lives, and we began to follow his calling from pastoring an inner city church from Indianapolis, Indiana, in the inner city, to doing nursing home ministry, to having a full-blown prison ministry, to reaching over 300,000 kids in public schools across the Midwest, to being granted the contract to take my music and that gift, that 7-year-old little kid. I went back to the music and I started using it for God and letting God use it. I was granted the opportunity to tour with Winter Jam, and so many doors have opened since then. But I just want to say the most important thing is, like the song says, when the music fades, when everything has gone away, I got Jesus Christ in my life right now. It's evident what he's done. There's fruit in my life because of him. My marriage has stayed solid 35 years now. My 2 children have grown up. Now I have 5 grandkids. And soon there's another marriage about to take place in my family with my daughter. My daughter's going to be getting married again, and I will instantly have 8 grandkids. and 2 great-grandkids. And I'm about to release my 3rd and 4th song to radio, and I'm so glad to see and hear how God is using this testimony to help rescue people, using my wife, her story in her book. She wrote a book called Beautifully Unbroken, The Prostitute's Daughter. And we just keep thinking, wow, God is using our story and our testimony. I think your testimony is the most powerful message you could ever preach to somebody. And I just want to say thank you for listening. I give all the glory and honor to Jesus Christ for allowing me to live a life of freedom. God bless you guys.